of May 1st. Can you hear me, Bruce? Everything all right?
Everything's fine.
It's unfortunate that we couldn't gather in person and could not have a parade as had originally been intended. But with the COVID-19 virus and pandemic, we're properly isolated, but together with this video conference that so well organized for us. So I just want to say a word of welcome to all of you and to emphasize the significance and importance of today's event to hand over the appointments of Honorary Lieutenant Colonel from Bruce to Jonathan Burks, and the appointment of Honorary Colonel from myself to Colonel Bruce Bolton. This marks another milestone in this great regiment's great history, and I'm delighted that we have the essence of regimental headquarters here to witness and, in this virtual sense, participate in today's meeting. So without further ado, we have the pleasure of having our commanding officer acting as our master of ceremonies for today for this relatively short meeting and important ceremony. But before I hand over, just to emphasize that we are going to have later this year, we hope and trust, a physical gathering of more format or with a larger crowd of our regimental family to not so much recreate, but to emphasize the importance of what we're doing here today. So Bill, with that, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick reminder to the people that will listen to us a bit later today. Honoraries, the tradition or having honoraries date way back in Great Britain when we got wealthy people that were raising regiments and into a deal with the crown. It evolved through the centuries and the years to move to what our honoraries are today, which are basically the interface between the community in which a reserve unit or an army unit serves and its regiment. For the Black Watch, there's an additional duty that comes with it, where the colonel is basically the senior serving member of the regiment, and he has the task to bring the whole regiment together, a veteran regimental association, and the greater group of the regimental family. So this is, like Colonel Dan mentioned, it is significant. We're going to do a quick ceremony to hand over, and the floor will be to the new appointees to say a few words as a conclusion. So I would like Lieutenant Colonel retired Bruce Bolton to pass on the Knox Dirk to Mr. Jonathan Burks, now Honorary Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Burks, as our new Honorary Lieutenant Colonel as of today by order of Minister of National Defense.
Thank you, CO. I've had the honor of wearing Colonel John Knox's dirk for the last number of years. I knew him well. He's a man of few words, but what a gigantic man in regimental history. So, Jonathan, I have great pleasure and honor to present you with the Knox dirk.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm most honored.
Thank you, Colonels. At this moment, I will ask Lieutenant Colonel retired Daniel O'Connor, our Honorary Colonel of the Black Watch Highland Regiment of Canada, to pass on the Honorary Colonel's dirk to Colonel Bruce Bolton.
Thank you very much, Colonel Plourde. I have had the very, very distinguished honor to wear this dirk for the last 9 years as Honorary Colonel. This dirk is inscribed on the back, Fred K. Frederick Loomis, 5th RHC. Of course, General Loomis has been said by some to have been our greatest field commander. And this goes back, of course, to the beginnings of General Loomis's association with the regiment back in 1912. just before he was appointed a commanding officer and sent overseas to fight in the First World War. And we all know what great things General Loomis performed there. It has been a distinguished honor for me to wear this dirk for so many years with great pride, and I have equal pride and privilege to hand it over now to my successor, Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Bolton. Bruce, I know you will wear this with pride and distinction, as I have attempted to do myself for the past 9 years. Over to you.
Thanks, Dan. Of course, this is a huge honor for me, and I guess we'll get to the details a bit further on. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now I'd ask Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Burks to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Colonel Bruno. I really am most genuinely honored, humbled, and yet frankly fiercely proud to have been afforded this advancement. I am so, as it permits me, as the first civvy to be so honored, to carry on a 3-generational family legacy with my attachment to this unique and renowned regiment. A regiment in which so many have made me feel welcome, not the least of whom are Lieutenant Colonels O'Connor, McCabe, Klepak, Verdun, Sewell, Mackay, Chartier, Lusk, and of course you, Colonel Bruno. I am so also as I follow in the footsteps of Honorary Colonel Bruce Bolton, a close friend and trusted advisor. Frankly, I can think of no one who has more Black Watch blood in their veins than Bruce, whose father served in the regiment in World War II. And of course, Bruce himself was raised practically from near Earth with a lifetime participation in the Black Watch. Certainly very difficult shoes for me to follow, but I can think of no finer example for me as his successor. Having had the great pleasure of working with Bruce over the past close to 10 years, I greatly look forward to continuing to work with him to grow and strengthen this finest of regiments. And if I may just conclude, Colonel Bruno, with the most famous of Scottish bards quote, I'm talking about Robbie Burns, here's to us, who's like us, damn few, and they're all dead. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Jonathan. I would like Colonel O'Connor now to say a few words.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Jonathan. Extremely well said. And I'm not surprised. There were many, many good reasons why you've been asked to assume this appointment. And I know you won't let us down. And I am personally thrilled that we are continuing the Burks family history of service to the regiment after so many decades. What an incredible and welcome contribution to our regimental hierarchy. Welcome, Jonathan. My own story, and I won't go into it in detail. Of course, I don't have as much of a long story as Jonathan because he's a little bit older than I am. But nonetheless, I'm very proud to have been directly associated with the Black Watch since 1952, which was not only the year I was born, it was the year that my father joined the 2nd Highland Battalion and shortly thereafter became a member of the 2nd Battalion, regular battalions of the Black Watch. So my association began then and went on through the years. I had the great privilege to attend the military college, and subsequent to that, after I learned to play the pipes and wear the kilt, came to Montreal in 1984, and indeed, there was only one regiment to join, and I joined the Black Watch. It has been a tremendous journey, and one with which I cannot describe greater pride and a sense of privilege, and indeed humility, to have assumed the pinnacle of positions which soldiers and officers in particular aspire to one day, or even if they don't aspire to, are honored to assume, and that is to be asked and to be appointed to the position of an honorary rank within one's regiment. I have had that privilege and that thrill, and I am now very, very proud to hand that over to none other than Bruce Bolton, who, as Jonathan has so eloquently said, has himself had a tremendous history in his family and personally with this great regiment. I conclude by saying that I have been privileged to serve not only with Colonel Knox, who Colonel Bolton had just mentioned. Colonel Knox was colonel of the regiment, as it was because of our 3 battalions. And he was followed by Colonel Bourne as colonel of the regiment after the Second World War. Colonel Bourne, upon the passing of our regular battalions in 1970, became honorary colonel. After Colonel Bourne, we had Colonel Tom Price, Colonel Steve Angus, Colonel Honorary Colonel and General Duncan McAlpine as our honorary colonels. I have done what I have attempted to do for our regiment in the past 9 years as honorary colonel. It has been, as I say, a privilege, but also relatively easy. And the reason it was relatively easy was because I stood on the shoulders of giants, Colonel John Bourne, to General McAlpine, and those I mentioned in between. It is with great pride that I hand over to Bruce Bolton, and make no mistake, the regiment is with me, and I am with the regiment till further notice. Thanks to all of you for your incredible support over my tenure as honorary colonel. Thank you. Bruce?
Thank you, Colonel Dan. So I pass the floor now to Colonel Bolton, our new honorary colonel.
Thank you, Dan, Bruno, and Jonathan. I'm very humbled to assume this position, but I must say that I'm a man of few words. So you're never going to hear a long speech from me, and I'm just going to make everything right to the point. Obviously, it's an honor for me, after 60 years this October, being told by my mother, "You're going to learn bagpipes." But really, I was following in my father's World War II, and actually since 1932 tradition of serving the Black Watch. I can only imagine what he's thinking now up there, I hope, for all the years that he brought me up to be someone special in the Black Watch. We are now responsible for a trust of 158 years in the making, a trust that we must pass on to the future. And I commit myself here to do my absolute best to do so. To Jonathan, we've been working together for a number of years already, and you're a team leader. You're a person with a lot of initiative and a lot of drive, and especially proud of your connection, the family's connection to the regiment. As president of our foundation, you've done amazing things, and I can only hope that and expect that it's going to continue. And in your honor, today, Jonathan, I'm wearing one of the last gold Black Watch rings made by Burke's. Thank you for taking on this honor, but it is a task, and we're looking forward to working with you. To Dan, well, it's close to a decade since you've taken on this responsibility in the Black Watch connection. And through your service to your father as an NCO, similar to my father's really, since birth. And his connection with the regular force. Served while you were CO, and many moons ago now, and I've got to know you pretty well with all your all your different ways of doing things, and of course the 7 children. Your devotion to the regiment was totally unquestionable all through this period, and you became a lawyer. And you were very involved in the community, especially the veterans community, with the Last Post Fund and the Maison Bel-Air. And there was no question that you were always there for regimental duties, and especially coast to coast. And you really maintained that connection with the regular force soldiers disbanded 50 years ago this year. On behalf of all ranks of the Black Watch, a very simple thank you. We look forward to working with you in the future and with the Black Watch Foundation and with RHC. Thank you, Dan. To the CO, Board, and all officers and soldiers, cadets, vets, I'm there to serve you. And I will assume all of the necessary trust of the regiment in establishing in maintaining and establishing 158 years, and pass the torch. It's our turn now. We have the trust of the regiment. It's up to us to make sure that we can pass this on to future generations. Thank you very much for this honor.
Well said.
Thank you, Colonel Brooks. Gentlemen, this concludes the actual ceremony. As a lot of people mentioned, as soon as travel and distanciation direction will evolve through the spring and the summer, we'll have a better view of when the regiment is going to be able to meet again. Hopefully, it's going to be in the fall, where we're aiming for Remembrance Day weekend prior Remembrance Day, to get together and highlight the event that just happened today and other regimental change of functions. So to all of you, thank you. Thank you for being with us for this historical and significant moment in our history. And I wish you only the best. Stay healthy and safe.
Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, Bruno.
Yeah.